Asghar.
Good morning, everybody. Firstly, I'd like to say it's absolutely great to be here in Llangollen with all of you here today. And it's been wonderful to catch up with so many of you this weekend. Can I just take a moment to thank our wonderful speakers who've been on the stage so far, Joel James, Ian Ross, and of course, Alan Ebenezer. We're all here today because we share the same ambition and passion. We all undoubtedly want to see a Welsh Conservative government return to Cardiff Bay next year. And with Darren Miller and his team, I am confident that we can achieve just that. I was honoured and delighted when I was announced as the Shadow Cabinet Secretary for Education. It has taken me from primary schools to secondary schools to sixth form colleges and universities all across Wales. And I must say, I have met some truly amazing people who work tirelessly day in, day out to deliver the best for our young people. However, the conditions and pressures facing these dedicated teachers and staff are indeed becoming increasingly more challenging and strained. Let's be clear, it's down to the fact that Labour have been running the show here in Wales for the past 26 years. I must admit, it slightly does baffle me that they've managed to cling on to power for so long where, quite frankly, I wouldn't even trust them to run my own bath. But there you go, that's the way it works. I'm sure you all remember Tony Blair? Yes. Tony Blair once boasted those three words over and over again, education, 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 that would be Labour's full-on priority. But however, it's clear to me that priority hasn't been showed by Labour here in Wales, and they've neglected our educational system for far too long. We have record high levels of violence in schools, we have soaring absenteeism, a major teacher recruitment and retention crisis, school budgets are being constantly squeezed to breaking points, and continuously poor performances when it comes to PISA. This is sadly just the tip of the iceberg, and it seems as though Labour ministers in Cardiff Bay aren't prepared to tackle the issue head-on. It's a case of talking a good talk, but in reality, doing diddly squat. In stark contrast, it's people like Alan Ebenezer, who we just heard from, who's making a real difference on the ground. By instilling discipline and order, something missing in many schools, into his students in Caldecott High School, he has without a doubt turned the school around. By being bold, by not being afraid of being unpopular, by thinking outside the box, he has ultimately boosted pupils' education and unlocked their full potential. And that's exactly what a Welsh Conservative government will do. We need more head teachers like Mr Ebenezer. We need to increase the levels of respect for authority. We need to combat unruly and dangerous behaviour. We need our schools to be a place of learning and enrichment once again. When I was growing up, there was a pecking order of respect. It started with God, followed by my parents, and then my teachers. Sadly, that level of respect and authority has been eroded with a major breakdown in relationships between families and schools, and sadly even more so than since the pandemic. As things stand, incidents of violence within Welsh schools are at the highest level, with more than 6,000 cases reported between 2023 and 2024. And I'm sure we can all remember the horrific and tragic incident in Ysgol Dyffryn Aman, in which a student stabbed 2 teachers and a fellow student. It was a horrendous case, and my utmost respect is there with the teachers who handled the entire situation with such grace, dignity, and strength. We cannot allow another incident like that to unfold in our schools. Today, I am pleased to announce the first of our many Welsh Conservative policies when it comes to education. A Welsh Conservative government will not stand for violence within our schools. As it stands, if a student is found carrying a knife, they are not going to be automatically expelled from school. That is going to change. If you are caught with a knife, you're out. No ifs, no buts. Not only that, but the Welsh Conservatives will implement a powerful and tough school behavioural strategy to improve discipline and behaviour management in schools, and this will apply to each and every single school in every single corner of Wales. Recently, I brought forward a debate in the Welsh Parliament on this very issue and called for the Welsh Government to bring in these measures. Yet, surprise, surprise, everybody, Labour and their nationalist chums voted against these measures. Shameful. Terrible. Instead of putting the safety of school communities first, both parties decided to carry out a spot of political grandstanding, if you would say. And we won't stop just to improve our schools. A Welsh Conservative government will introduce a ban on mobile phones in schools, however, with the provision for exceptional circumstances in place. It's a fact that mobile phones can be a major distraction, taking our students' focus away from learning, which is exactly what school is there for in the first place. Just having a phone nearby, even if not in use, can impair cognitive performance, according to research. And we know that phones have a detrimental impact on the mental health of our young people and open the doors for cyberbullying. Research also shows that secondary schools in England with an effective ban on mobile phones are more than twice as likely to be rated outstanding, and it is found that children with an effective ban achieve grades for their GCSEs which are 1 to 2 grades higher compared to children in schools with laxer policies. Given the increase of violence and abuse towards teachers, it is therefore hardly surprising to see that Welsh schools are struggling to retain and recruit teachers. A recent Welsh Conservative survey found that 3,763 teachers had sustained injuries at work from September 2021 until now. That horrifies me to my core, conference, and that shocking figure is likely to be even higher as 3 local authorities in Wales refuse to answer the questions that we asked them. From 2021 until now, 8,445 teachers in Wales have left the profession. That's simply not sustainable. And what is the Labour Welsh Government's solution to combating this issue? Well, of course, it's a lot of talking about solutions rather than actually lifting a finger. Conference, perhaps it's a bit harsh. The one concrete thing that they have done is offer a £25,000 grant to potential teachers, but only if the candidate is from an ethnic minority. I'd like you all to take a second to look at my face. As an ethnic minority person myself, this is a ridiculous policy. Now, putting on my rose-tinted glasses here for a second on stage, it would be fantastic, truly it would be fantastic, to see such a rich and diverse workforce. But I'm afraid we need a workforce to begin with in the first place. And I'm afraid, at the moment, we haven't got it, and we're not going to be getting it anytime soon. So in my opinion, all efforts should be directed to recruiting the very best of teachers, regardless of their ethnicity, and create a level playing field for each and every single candidate. Turning to the outcomes in our classrooms, and I'm afraid the story doesn't get any better. Wales's performance in the PISA has fallen to its lowest level when it comes to maths, reading and science. We have 20% of our pupils leaving primary school functionally illiterate, and the Welsh Government is pushing a widely discredited reading method known as queuing. I've only just scratched the surface here today. There is a long list, perhaps as long as my arm, and I could stand here all day listing out the never-ending failures of Labour, Plaid and the Lib Dems, but something tells me this afternoon's speakers may not be too amused. So, I hear many of you thinking to yourselves, well, Natasha, you've listed out lots of problems. What are your solutions? So let me tell you, conference. Since taking up this role of shadow education, I have indeed been listening, I've been reflecting, and I've been exploring potential policies to help fix this sorry saga once and for all. I have launched an alternative literacy panel made up of experts from across the board, including Sir Nick Gibb, to counter the Welsh Government's queuing method and improve literacy outcomes for our young people. I have drafted a range of policies on a number of issues, whether that be boosting well-being, improving results, tackling violence in schools, and improving what is at the moment a very bleak financial picture for many educational institutions. Too many people leave school without essential life skills, which is setting them up to ultimately struggle and fail in life. So when we get the keys to Cathays Park, that's going to change. I intend to introduce ELS, Essential Life Skills. These are going to be classes within our schools which will equip students with a broad range of skills, which will include things such as budgeting, financial management, how to apply for a mortgage, how credit cards work, how to apply for a passport, how to open a bank account. Not only that, but these lessons will play a crucial role in improving health and well-being, as we will also teach students about healthy eating, proper nutrition, and cooking techniques. These types of lessons would have greatly benefited me when I was younger and when I was at school. And the common consensus amongst those I have spoken to about this policy has been absolutely fantastic and very much welcomed. By instilling these skills in our youngsters, we can help them and ultimately set them up for the future. Although I have just shared a handful of policies with you this morning, I look forward to sharing the rest with you in more depth as we take the fight to Labour in 2026. But let me be honest with you here today, conference. I am just one woman, and the task in front of me is a mammoth one. I cannot do this alone. I need each and every single one of you. So therefore, if any of you have any ideas when it comes to improving the Welsh education system, then I would love to hear from you. Because in my view, there is no such thing as a bad idea. Wales is truly broken due to 26 years of Labour's incompetence and mismanagement. The only way we can move forward, Conference, is if we have a clear, bold and achievable plan to fix Wales. And I believe together we can kick out this clapped-out Labour administration from government once and for all. We can stop the nationalists from getting their hands near the levers of power and pushing ahead with creating an independent Wales. We can stop reform in their tracks because in my world, it's not over until that returning officer doesn't say your name. And by all of us working together and fighting tooth and nail, we will, and I am confident, we can indeed return a Welsh Conservative government to Cardiff next May, led by Darren Millar as our First Minister. Then, and only then, can we turn the tide and unleash our country's true potential. Thank you, Conference, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bonefigion a bonefigesau, ladies and gentlemen, can I kindly ask that all non-party members now leave the hall? Diolch yn fawr iawn.